With the injury situation, running back Neil said you have to be creative a little bit with your run game. So without giving all the way details, what is creative in the run game when you're down numbers?
You know, that running back room, they've had a rough go of it, seems like, and but the what's been cool is like every time we kind of get banged up, someone else comes in and does some decent things for us, and so we got to keep trying to find ways to get those guys in space, and figure out who we can hand the football to go be good with the ball. And I think that's kind of what you got to do is figure out, kind of what I've talked about since I've been here. Like, to me, like, we got to try to get the ball to our best ball carriers in space, and it doesn't matter if it's handing the ball to them, throwing the ball to them. That's the goal of what we do is figure out, who can be good with the football in their hand and try to find ways to get it to them in space. And like I said, with the running back room being as beat up as it is, we'll have to do a good job of this week. Do a good job of that this week to give ourselves a chance.
Was there a big, we talk about the running backs as that's what we all see, but was there a bigger challenge here with the guards? When you were down your two guards, and at the end there, you were basically rotating guys around and mixing and matching. How much did that impact what you were able to call with the inexperienced guys you had there?
I think that the guard, like you said, everyone can see running backs touching the football. No one really sees the interior guys, and I think that being down both those guys is obviously not ideal. And but we try to call it. I try my best to not let it affect too much what we call it. I think there's a couple of things that if you had the other two, you probably don't get a couple pressures at times. And I don't think it's because necessarily the guys we were playing, the ability's not there. It's just at that, I've talked about this a lot too since I've been here. Like, at that position, reps together matter, and that's just the group of guys that we've had most of the year, when those guys have been healthy, have a ton of reps together over the last probably 3 years, and so when you start mixing up lineups and having to put new guys in there and guys that don't have the same amount of experience, we feel really good about a lot of those guys' ability. It's just going to come with reps, and reps together is when things really look clean, And I thought they did a heck of a job, really, for the most part. Really, in the pass protection games, the only place where at times you could see like those two haven't worked together. They didn't pass off something as well, or a guy tried to rush between them, and it wasn't as clean as it is when you have two guys out there that have played a lot of football together. Picking things up is a lot cleaner and a lot easier. And so, I think that's where you saw it more than probably even in the run game. But they did a good job, and for the most part, like I said, to have as many lineups as we had to play with the other night, it was fairly clean.
You're looking at your call sheet and you're going, I got two new guards in there. And you start going, man, we can't do that. I mean, you're thinking those things through, right? When you're going, well, I got to be careful what I'm doing. I got to protect these guys.
I think if you do that, you're going to put yourself in a bind. So I try my best not to do that, just because, like I said, I mean, you gotta go out there and create angles. And I think in the run game we did a really good job of that, creating angles for guys and creating matchups for our guys that we thought we could win on. And they did a pretty good, like I said, they did a pretty good job in that. And I think Tomas has a whole lot of ability, and he played really, he played pretty well the other night. But more than anything, kind of like what I touched on a minute ago, it's just, again, those five guys that don't have a ton of reps together, trying to get them to play as one unit, that just comes with time. And like I said, we've been fortunate that we have a lot of experience, a lot of guys that have played a lot of football together. And the other night, there was some new faces in new places that hadn't worked together with the guy next to him quite as much.
Coach, Neil talked about how CJ's out for the year, but Tony is right now a question mark, and that might be evaluated based on how the rest of the week goes. For you as a coach, here on a Tuesday, are you putting together multiple game plans? Is it just the same thing for the opponent and it'll be next man up if Tony can't go? Would you rather know that ahead of time? How is that different, and how does that complicate your week when it could be late Wednesday, even Thursday, before you're sure on a player? And then, like John was bringing up, when you have guards and other maybe less notable players that aren't touching the football that we then learn are out even game day, how does that change your game?
Yeah, I mean, you got to try to put together the best plan you can put together and trust your guys to go do it. And I think that all year that's kind of been our mentality. Is like the next guy's got to be able, next man up, kind of like you mentioned, is got to go in and do it. And so you don't ever want to see guys get injured and we got guys we like that we can't get the ball to sometimes when they are injured, or that are out right now. But we still have to, like I said, put ourselves in what we think is the best position and to like I say, try to create angles and try to get in space, and then whoever's in there, give them that opportunity, and hopefully they can go make some plays for you.
You have any experience running against Haycock's system? I know last week TCU does some things where they'll take a 3-man front and get quickly to 8, which these guys do. Iowa State as good as anybody. Do you have any in your background of dealing with Haycock or some of the stuff?
Never played against him.
Never played against him?
No, I don't think so.
A lot of the coordinators that we've dealt with in the past that have dealt with him say there's some things he does that it's pretty challenging because he can get light to heavy real quick like that, like these guys did last week.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job at Iowa State, obviously, since he's been there. They've been good on defense, so there's no doubt he's doing some good things. And
illusions, I hear that word a lot. Some of the things they do.
Yeah, like I said, they've done a great job defensively, and this year's obviously no different. They've been good on defense and haven't given up many points, and so it'll be a challenge that we have to got to be excited to go try to attack it.
Man, we've come to think of Zach in the middle there as Superman, so to speak. All of a sudden he goes into a game and he's got both sides of it out on his side. How did that affect him, or did it affect him?
Like I said, I think that, Zach's a really special player, and he's done an incredible job all year. And I don't study centers a ton, but I'd have a hard time believing there's many guys out there that are playing at the level he's playing at for sure. He's playing at a really high level, doing some special things. And like I said, I think that when there's two guys next to him, I don't think it affects necessarily his play much. It's just things aren't quite as clean because you don't have the same number of double teams in the running game, or you don't have the same number of passing off twists in the pass game, or a guy trying to rush between you. And the feel, you don't have as many reps with what it feels like with this exact guard. And so I think that's really probably the only difference, but he still played at a really high level, did some really good things. He's super physical. He's athletic. He's a special football player. And regardless of who's beside him, he plays at a high level. I think, like I said, just the difference is, at that position, at times you're having to try to get 2 or 3 guys to play as one person, basically, and that comes with reps and time. And so that's the only part that I think gets muddied up. But his level of play, it doesn't matter if it's practice, it doesn't matter if it's a game. His level of play is the same, and it's pretty elite.
You're 8 games into this, and you've done a lot of good things on offense. But is there a thing or two that in the back of your mind, like, I wish we could do this a little bit better?
I think the key for us, especially the other night, is just, when you got to have it, you got to win. And winning time, you got to play at your best. And we missed a couple opportunities the other night that we felt like as an offense we could have won the football game. And so I think that's the got to be the key. Is like you said, you've done a lot of good things. You moved the ball really well. You've scored some points, but when you got to have it, you got to be at your best. And like I said, we got the ball with like 4 minutes left with an opportunity to go win the football game, and we didn't do it. And so, that's to me the key is in this league. It seems like the talent level is pretty similar each week, and so there's going to be a lot of it feels like, at least, watching and playing in it, there's a lot of games that are going to come down to a possession or two towards the end, and when that's the case, you got to be great in those situations.
Tempting to tinker even more with Garrett? And, used him at slot. You got a thing.
Garrett does some good things for us, and again, he's the thing about Garrett. Garrett loves football, and he's a good football player, and so. We've put him at running back some, we've put him at slot, we've snapped him the football, and he's just a guy that can do a lot for us. And like I said, he loves to play. He's a really fun guy to coach because when he sets foot on the practice field, it's almost like you're at recess. You know what I mean? You get to go outside and play, and that's the best part of the day. And so that part of it's fun. And so because of that, like I said, I think he gives himself a chance to do a lot of good things regardless of what position he's at. And he's a guy that, like you said, I think we can continue to build packages with and put him in different spots and dress it up and get him touches because he is pretty good with football in his hand. And again, the thought is get guys that are good with the football in their hand, the ball, and let them go be them. And, the other night he did a good job for us. He got a third down conversion on a screen, and then we threw him one in the red zone where we got a few yards. And so continue to get him touches could be something that could really help us.
Your thoughts on Reese Smith's touchdown catch? I mean, he knew he was going to get a hit, and you could tell he knew there were two guys that were ready to unload on him.
Yeah, seems like every time he gets the ball thrown to him, he gets hit. But and the other night was no different. Like I can think of the big one against Baylor right down the middle, coming, I guess, towards our building right here. On third down, big time catch, over the middle, kind of having to extend to catch it, and feeling the pressure. And then the other night, same thing. He does a huge catch, obviously, and made it a one possession game, got us in a really good position to give ourselves a chance to win. And when they're playing the coverage they're playing, it's going to be tight windows, and I think going into the week, the quarterback knows that, the receivers know that. I really think it was a heck of a throw, considering like I said, the space of the window, and like you said, he knew he was going to get hit and still makes the catch. And I've never played that position, so I can't really tell you what that feels like. But you're going to get hit whether you catch it or don't catch it. So I guess you might as well catch it and get the touchdown and take the hit if that ball's coming at you. But that was a heck of a play, and like I said, gave us some momentum. It was a big time throw, big time catch, and kind of gave the sideline some energy and gave the whole stadium some energy. And so that was a fun one for all of us. I'm sure he would prefer not to get hit like that, but at the same time, I think he probably enjoyed the play.
How do you celebrate when you can't breathe?
He laid there for a second and then get up and start celebrating, I guess.
They read their second half numbers. Iowa State's defense, the points and yardage are significantly lower in the first half. Do they play different in the second half? Do they adjust? Are they trying to be a little bit ahead? Any explanation there?
Yeah. I don't know. They do a good job, I think, in both halves, and I think they've been that way for quite some time. Where second half they know it's coming a little better, it seems. But they, like I said, they do a good job. They've been really good this year, and I don't think they necessarily play a lot different. They I guess just adjust well at halftime to what you've hit them with and kind of what the plan is, and come out and try to take that away would be my assumption. But like I said, I think that it doesn't matter when. Like they have a scheme they believe in. The kids know where to be and when to be there, and they believe in it. And those guys play hard. And to me, that's a recipe for success on either side of the ball. And I think on the defense side of the ball, I haven't watched their offense, but on the defensive side of the ball, they do a really good job of that, and that's why they've had as much success as they've had. And then, like I said, at halftime, I guess I don't think it's they play differently. I guess they just make good adjustments to your plan against them and try to stop that.
You study them. I know your predecessors that always deal with this defense say when you start hunting for big plays against them, that's when you get in big trouble. You got to take those 4 and 5 yard gains and just try to stack those together because of the way they play structurally. Yeah,
and for sure, I think that's key. Like you can't force things that aren't there, And we it's kind of feels like what we've done all years is JT, I think, does a really good job of that, just kind of taking what's there and going on good drives, and that's going to be important for us this week. Like you said, like you can't, they have people in kind of different spots than maybe you're necessarily used to feeling and seeing, and so you can't force things, as always. But I think against these guys, like you got to take care of the football, and you got to take what's there, and I think offensive football in general, sometimes it's hard to be patient because, you're getting 3, 4, 5 yards a pop and you're moving the football. But we need to hit a big one. You need a big one. And at times, like, you just can't force that. And when it's there, I think if you get an opportunity to hit it, you got to hit it. You know, I think there's teams that have tried and you watch on tape and a lot of times they miss it, you know, and that's the few opportunities you don't get, I think it's important to hit them. And, you know, same thing with us the other night. Like we had a couple opportunities and we missed them by a step or two, you know what I mean? And it's hard to create big explosive plays against anyone. And when you get the opportunity, you got to hit it. And especially against these guys, I think they do a good job kind of limiting possessions. And, you know, it's a slower game a lot of the times and you don't get a ton of possessions. And so you got to make it the most of the possessions you're there, and you can't try to force things that aren't there just because if you're going on drives, they're longer drives, or you feel like you don't have the ball as often, or you feel like you're not going to have the ball as often in the game. Like you can't let that force you into things that you don't want to do.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.